Hello everyone, back tuning in today's third video. So we're doing the ECMWF and Meteo France seasonal roundup for today's third video here at Anomalies. We're going to go through the rest of the summer and into the autumn with this update, looking at the long-range season models from Meteo France and the ECMWF at the Copernicus website. So earlier on today we released the 10th and final summer 2018 analogues update. You can find that video currently residing on the homepage. It's a bit of a QBO special. You will be able to see that later on this afternoon, this evening, on the summer updates and forecast page with a written summary as well. Also earlier on today we released its study roundup as always, so that video also is on the homepage. And as I say, this is our third video of the day, and we're looking at the long-range seasonal ECMWF and Meteo France long-range models. And I'll get on with the update for you in a second, just so you can find the link to this website, which is copernicus.eu. You can find a link to this website on the links page at Anomalies, so you can see all of these charts for yourself if you would like to do that. And without further ado, I think better get on with it and see what the ECM and Meteo France season models are showing for this month's update. Visit the homepage of the Copernicus website, by the way, so do have a look at that if you would like to do so. We're going to begin by having a look at the ECMWF long-range model, and then we'll have a look at the Meteo France long-range model. But we begin with mean sea level pressure anomalies, and these are in 3 monthly periods, tri-monthly periods. So we begin with the mean sea level pressure anomaly for June, July and August. So this is actually the mean sea level pressure anomaly for the summer of 2018 from the ECMWF long-range model. This will make up part of our third and final season model roundup that we're going to do next weekend before we release the summer forecast. This will have a final season model roundup, and you'll be able to see that on Saturday next weekend. So we begin with the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the ECM seasonal model for the summer, and this is how it's looking. We've got an area of above average heights almost centred over the top of the UK, and also stretching out into the Atlantic as well. So quite a lot of ridging going on there, which looks like it's probably going to be sending the jet stream up to the north. So the ECMWF season model is showing an anticyclonic pattern for the summer. Now let's move through to the following 3 months, and this one takes us to the tri-monthly period, July, August, September, and if anything, the ridge is strengthening here close to the country. So this does imply quite a prolonged run of anticyclonic weather could be on the way for this summer. Could this be a classic summer? It's too early to say that, but certainly the ECMWF season model, with its mean sea level pressure anomaly, is seeing a lot of anticyclonic influences. We can move through to the next tri-monthly period, the final tri-monthly period. This will take us to August, September, October. So we're going deeper into the autumn, now late summer into autumn with this one, with above average heights depicted by these yellow and orange colours still close to the UK, but some below average heights are appearing up to the north. I think the jet stream is probably doing something rather like that. So we're getting further on into the autumn, but still overall with a relatively anticyclonic influence. So it does look as though the ECM seasonal model is really going to town at the moment, with a chance of quite a lot of high pressure around the summer period. This is another way of looking at what pressure you're going to be doing. This is 500 millibar heights. So again, we see that the yellow, orange, red colours will be extrapolating to above average heights at 500 millibars, which essentially is high pressure. And then the blue colours extrapolate to below average heights at 500 millibars, which is low pressure. And again, it's the same sort of idea really to the mean sea level pressure anomaly, with these above average heights centering close to the UK and also out into the Atlantic as well. There's a lot of high pressure influences, the jet stream is going through something rather like that. Looks like eastern, northeastern parts of Europe possibly have a cooler summer with a dip in the jet stream. But for the UK, for central western Europe, actually the 500 millibar height anomaly for the summer of 2018 looks relatively high pressure dominated. Let's go through to another tri-monthly period. This one takes us to July, August, September, and again we find that we've got above average height centered almost over top of the UK, so this could be quite a prolonged dry and warm summer perhaps that we're seeing here, if the model is right, because we're going into the late summer tri-monthly period of July, August, September, still with a very anticyclonic looking pattern. And then we're off to our final tri-monthly period, which is August, September, October. And again, still the idea of a lot of above average heights. So quite deep into the autumn, we're still keeping this above average heights, high pressure, anticyclonic sort of pattern going. A little bit of low pressure returning to sort of Greenland, Iceland, which would be sending some jet stream south, because it is going deeper into autumn now, of course. So gradually it will be trying to turn more unsettled. But even then, it does look as though late summer into well into autumn, we are continuing to keep these anticyclonic signals in terms of the mean sea level pressure anomaly and also 500 millibar height anomaly with the ECMWF seasonal model. So let's have a look and see how the temperatures and precipitation stack up then. So this is the temperature anomaly from the ECM long-range model. This is for the summer, again, the temperature anomaly for the summer, June, July and August, and we're looking like this. So much of Europe is forecast to have a very warm summer. That's the first thing to say. Most parts of Europe are coming out very, very warm with the temperature anomaly. Going further north into the UK and Ireland, actually, we're much, much closer to average. We're just on the periphery of all of this warmth and heat that's taking place across many parts of the country, of the continent. So maybe a little bit unlucky really for the UK, but our country's kind of like just perched on the edge of the real warmth and heat that's taking place across many parts of Europe. Let's go through to the next tri-monthly period. This one will take us to July, August, September. And no real change, except that parts of England and Wales are going into those warmer than average colours as well. Most parts of Europe, again, coming out significantly warmer than average. It's also going to be a warm summer, maybe even a hot summer for many parts of Europe. And at times, certainly the British Isles could well be included in some of that heat. And then finally we go through to the final tri-monthly period, which takes us to August, September, October. And what we see with this one is that, again, we're looking at above average temperatures through most parts of Europe, particularly central and southern parts of Europe, coming out warmer than average, always closer to average in the north. So for Scotland, for Scandinavia, it is closer to average summer there, but many parts of Europe coming out with quite a warm or a hot summer. And remember, this is August, September, October, so we're going into the autumn with this one. And also for the UK, particularly England and Wales, coming out warmer than average as well. And what about precipitation? Well, again, we see that the precipitation anomaly for the summer of 2018 looks like that. So most parts, particularly central and northern Europe, coming out with drier than average precipitation. Below average precipitation is expected. Southern Europe is closer to average. So it looks like it's this idea we've got at the moment, actually, where southern Europe is relatively unsettled, but central and northern Europe coming out relatively dry. For the UK, so northern parts of the UK close to average. England and Wales coming out a bit drier than average, which of course you'd expect with high pressure dominating the summer pattern. This goes on into the July, August, September tri-monthly period, where again we've got many parts, particularly northwestern Europe, coming out drier than average. It looks like the wetter weather is in the south and the southeast of Europe. And then we go through to the final tri-monthly period. This one takes us to August, September and October. and still looking pretty dry, really, particularly across these western, northwestern parts of Europe. And again, British Isles, some parts of British Isles anyway, is included in that. So really a very good summer pattern if you like warm and dry weather for many parts of Europe. And although the UK is kind of like on the periphery of it, a lot of this, due to the 500 millibar high anomaly and the mean sea level pressure anomaly, I think we will very often be included in a lot of dry and warm weather this summer if the ECM is right. So a really classic summer is potentially being predicted here by the ECMWF seasonal model. What about Meteo France? This is our other sort of exclusive long-range model that we now have access to. Both of these models were restricted access until the end of last year, but this Copernicus.eu website has put all of this data online now, so we get to view all of it. And this is what the mean sea level pressure anomaly is showing for the summer of 2018 from Meteo France. And you see, the first thing that we see is that it's a much weaker signal with the anticyclone. So we do have a little bit of above average pressure out to the west of the UK, but it's a much, much smaller area compared to what the ECMWF is showing. So this is right, actually, height anomalies are close to average and probably doing something rather like that with the flow, with the jet stream. So it would be a cooler summer, perhaps substantially so, and also B, possibly a much more unsettled summer compared to what the ECMWF is showing. Let's go deeper into the period. So this is how things are looking for the tri-monthly period for July, August and September, with above average heights expanding a little bit, but still nowhere near as much as we see with the ECM. And again, the position is generally to the west-northwest of the UK, which again would leave us doing something rather like that with the flow, with the jet stream. It looks like there's probably a dip within 500 millibar flow, and so the general wind direction would be sort of northwest to southeast, as would the jet stream. So it would be relatively cool, certainly a lot cooler for northern Europe compared to what the ECMWF is showing. Would be relatively cool and more unsettled as well, because we do have more of an influence from the jet stream with the ridge being in that kind of position. And then go through to the tri-monthly period for August, September, October. And going sort of into the autumn, we find that we have this area of above average height still sitting to the west of the UK, extending back perhaps to the main Azores Ridge just here. But overall, I think it still looks a lot cooler and a lot, possibly a little bit more unsettled compared to what the ECM is showing, with the Meteo France season model kind of hinting at doing something a little bit like that. Certainly nowhere near as much high pressure from Meteo France as we saw with the ECM. This is 500 millibar height anomalies, so again we can see evidence of that trough over Scandinavia. Look, this is for the 500 millibar height anomaly for summer 2018 from Meteo France. We've got the below average heights over Scandinavia. We know there's some sort of very weak ridge around here. And so the flow, again, I think doing something like that, there's a dip within the 500 millibar flow. So whilst it's not desperately unsettled, it is for much of Scandinavia, a very unsettled summer being forecast there. For the UK and for Western Europe, whilst it's not desperately unsettled, it certainly is much more unsettled and much more influenced by the jet stream compared to what we saw with the ECM. Let's go further on, and we go to July, August, September, looking like this with the 500 millibar height anomaly. So again, much weaker signals compared to the ECM. Below average heights are over Scandinavia, above average heights, albeit very weakly, to the west of the UK. Again, probably doing something like that with the flow and with the jet. And then finally we go through to the last tri-monthly period, which takes us to August, September, October. And what we see with this one is that it just looks like we're reverting to a normal westerly type pattern, really, as we go into the autumn. So the ridge from the Azores is strengthening, and the jet stream probably starting to come through the country rather like that. So probably turning increasingly unsettled, as you'd expect, as we go deeper into the autumn. This is how the temperature anomalies are looking, man, and what a difference with Meteo France compared to the ECM. So you remember that the summer 2018 temperature anomaly from the ECM showed most parts of Europe, particularly Central and Northern Europe, coming out with a very warm summer. With this one, the warm and average temperature anomalies are really confined to the very far southeast of Europe, and actually most of Europe is either coming out average with the temperature anomaly to actually cooler than average in the northwest. The British Isles is included in that. If this is right, it's very stark differences between the two models, but if this is right, we are in for a cooler than average summer, if Meteo France is correct. But do bear in mind, this is very, very different to what the ECM is showing. This is temperature anomaly for July, August, September, and again the heat, the warmth is really confined just to this far southeastern corner of Europe. Most parts of Europe are coming out average with the temperature anomaly or no signal. It's just in the northwest, the British Isles included, and Scandinavia, where again we are, and Ireland, where again we are looking cooler than average as we go through to the late summer period. And then we go in towards the autumn, August, September, October, still looking pretty lowly with these temperature anomalies. So still only average to maybe cooler than average in the northwest, but warmer than average temperature anomalies in the southeast of Europe, and all parts in between coming out with no signal or coming out average. So a much cooler summer and late summer and early autumn with the Meteo France season model compared to the ECMWF. Finally, precipitation is looking like this. So again, precipitation for the summer of 2018 from Meteo France, coming out actually still on the drier side for much of the UK. So we're still in for a dryish summer. The difference is in the position of the ridge. So instead of being a dry warm summer, this is going for a dry cool summer with the ridge out there and the dip in the jet stream in that sort of position. I think we are hinting at a relatively cool but dry summer with Meteo France. We go through to the next tri-monthly period. This one takes us to July, August, September. And again, we see very weak signals, as we often do with these season models when it comes to precipitation. But if anything, still hinting at being a bit drier in the northwest. So precipitation is holding up reasonably well, still on the dry side. Not a particularly wet summer being predicted here. It's just the temperatures and the overall pattern that is very different. And then finally, we go through to the final tri-monthly period. This takes us from August, September, October. And then we're going closer to average. So I think what's happening is that the above average heights are setting up down there, with below average heights around here, and just starting to bring that jet stream through. As we go deeper into the autumn, you would expect things to start to turn more unsettled, whilst it's not a wetter than average signal that we see there for August, September, October. Obviously, we're losing the drier than average condition, so it appears to be turning more unsettled. So, quite an interesting update. Obviously, big differences between the two models. If the ECM is right, we're in for a classic summer. Loads of high pressure, really quite warm, especially for much of Central and Northern Europe, but we will be included in that at times, definitely, and really dry. If the Meteo France long-range model is correct, then we're in for a much cooler summer. The ridge, and it's all down to the placement of the ridge. Instead of the ridge being through the UK and into Central Europe, the ridge is centred to the west of the UK and Ireland. That keeps the wind coming from off the Atlantic, and the jet stream is on a northwest-southeast trajectory, which is obviously a lot cooler, and at times it will be a little bit more unsettled as well. So they're differing in the placement of the ridge. The ridge is critical as to whether we get a warm and dry summer or whether we get a cool and dry summer. Both models are in agreement that it's not a particularly wet summer, so that's some good news. It's not a washout summer, it's just whether it's cool and dry or hot and dry. And of course, these two long-range models will be part of the summer 2018 season model roundup I'm going to do on Saturday. That will be the third and final seasonal model roundup for the summer. So you'll be able to see, you'll get something like 12 or 13 long-range models together, and you'll be able to see just how many of those long-range models are agreeing with ECM and Meteo France in terms of their summer forecasts. Right, we'll do it all over again next month. And next month, of course, we will begin to extend out into the autumn period. So the final tri-monthly period next month will cover September, October, November. So you'll be able to get a first little snapshot, perhaps, from the ECM Meteo France long-range models of what they're predicting for the autumn of 2018. But that's all for now. Don't forget to check out the final summer Analogues update. That's on my homepage right now. It will be placed on the summer updates forecast page later on today. And also the Gaz Study Roundup, which was released just after lunch. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.